So thank you for having me here this morning. I look forward to hearing the State of Downtown speech by your new director, John Scholes. And you hired well because John and I share something in common. We both started out as legislative assistants to elected officials. Last week, I gave my own State of the City speech, and in it I said that the state of Seattle is strong, and it is strong because of all of you. It is strong because we as a city are showing the country how to say yes. We as a city are showing the country that government and business can be partners to get things done. And so much got done last year, so much because of the work of DSA. Think about it, a parks levy that will change our open spaces in downtown and create opportunities for public-private partnerships so that we can activate spaces right now that are deeply troubled. Transit, the largest increase in bus transit in Seattle since Metro was created in the 1970s. We're moving forward, folks. And you as a business sector continue to grow. Amazon grows exponentially. Weyerhaeuser is locating their headquarters in the birthplace of Seattle in Pioneer Square. And startups, yes, you can clap for them. And startups are happening every place we look, and they're changing the nature of this city. Seattle is not just a business district, it's also a neighborhood. And last year, for the first time, the city of Seattle, for the first time in over a century, the city of Seattle is growing faster than our surrounding suburbs. A year ago, we were the fastest growing city in America, and we surpassed in population the city of Boston. Despite the Super Bowl, I like to remind the mayor of Boston that we took away his police chief and his status as a larger city. And there's a lot that's happening in the city center. And I am committed, and this city government is committed, that as we have on other issues, we can continue to develop, we can continue to grow, that we can continue to have developers and the people who live in this city work together. I think in the campaign ahead for council races, there's going to be an attempt to pit those who don't want growth against developers. I think we, once again, can find another way, the Seattle way, and actually grow in a way that we actually create more affordable housing, we continue to grow transportation choices, and we continue to grow public amenities such as our parks. And one of the things that I think we've made progress on this last year, it was sort of an interesting journey for me. On my first day in office, January 1st of last year, there was an article in the Seattle Times that said the seawall was over budget and off schedule. A month later, as we finished up that incredible parade honoring the Seahawks, I got a call that I needed to come back to the office immediately because there was a recommendation that we needed to stop work on the seawall for as much as a year or 2 years. Instead, what we did is we made a decision that we needed to move forward on the seawall, that our technical people could work with the state's technical people, and we could find a way to work out the issues we faced. We brought in someone who actually understood how to manage mega projects. They developed techniques such as freezing the soil around the seawall that allowed the water table to stabilize and us to move forward. That project, I am happy to announce, is on budget and today is on schedule. In transportation, I am committed, along with Councilmember Tom Rasmussen, the chair of our Transportation Committee, to work with Olympia to make sure that this year the state passes a transportation package that will benefit not only the state but this city, whether it's transit or whether it's roads for our ports, such as on Lander Street. Finally, I want to, maybe not finally, because I am a politician, I do want to address the issue of public safety in downtown Seattle and the issue of disorder in downtown Seattle. On Christmas Day, I went to Mass at Christ Our Hope. which is in the old Josephinum, which is now low-income housing for women. After Mass, a group of residents who live there approached me, and they told me about their experiences of having to work their way through, on a daily basis, open drug markets, of the drug activity they see outside the windows of their homes. We have a lot more to do, and I'm here to admit that. We haven't done enough, and we have to do more. But I read recently that Seattle has to get its act together. And I hope what folks meant by that is all of us in this room need to get our act together. I can tell you about the part I'm responsible for. Something happened in this city 5 years ago. Over the last 5 years, in just dealing with minor crimes such as possession and others, there's been an 81% drop in policing in the center of this city, a 51% drop in bookings in the King County Jail. But also, others are going to have to step up and do their part. 10 years ago, we prosecuted the county 3,500 drug-related crimes. Today, the number is 500, and sentencing in our courts are also a problem. I get letters from folks who visit downtown and tell me they're not going to come back to downtown. And 9 out of 10 times those letters deal with an incident where somebody is completely out of control, definitely as a result of mental illness or some type of addiction. And I have started to look at where those folks are from. And often they're from someplace like Massachusetts or New York. Massachusetts or New York actually pays for mental health treatment. We are number 47th in the nation. We are number 47th in the nation in mental health beds that we provide. So if Seattle needs to get its act together, I need you to join me and King County Council Executive Dow Constantine and lobby the state to move us above number 47. Dow right now is asking for 2 facilities with 32 beds each for chronically mentally ill people. Imagine if those 64 beds existed and those 64 people were not on the streets of our city, but were actually getting treatment that they would have gotten if they lived in New York or Massachusetts. The issue of homelessness has only grown. Before the Great Recession, there were 3,000 school-age children in the state of Washington. That's kids going to school with their families who are homeless. Today, the number is 28,000 school-age children in the state of Washington who are homeless. And when it comes to single homeless people, over the last 30 years, we've decided to locate 90% of services for homeless people in downtown Seattle. And this is a welcoming, great, and generous city. We are third in the amount of money that we spend on homelessness. But not everyone who became homeless originated in the core of this city. We need you to join us so that we can get our act together as a city, so that the other cities in the state that currently are, in this county, cities in this county that are not willing to allow a Catholic church in a suburban city to open a shelter, are not willing to allow homeless people in their city to have access to services and public facilities. We have to create a regional partnership on transportation, but we also have to create a regional partnership on homelessness. And in the weeks ahead, the Seattle Police Department will launch, in the core of this city, as well as other neighborhoods throughout the city, a brand new approach to policing in downtown Seattle, one that we believe won't target simply non-violent drug offenders, but one that will target those who are repeat offenders who are causing most of the problems that you see, most of the problems that the women who live in the Catholic Community Services at 2nd Avenue see. Let me give you an example. 600 individuals are responsible for 29,000 different incidences in downtown Seattle. We can actually do something about this. But I want to go back to the point I just made. You're about to hear from an author who has written the title of my favorite book called If Mayors Ruled the World. And it is true that as the federal government has become more dysfunctional, and not just in this country, it is true that cities have stepped up and led the way, and Seattle is leading the way. But folks, Seattle cannot solve the issue of homelessness. We cannot solve the issue of mental illness unless we have partners at the federal level, unless we have partners at the state level. So the idea of a metropolitan revolution is one we should continue to lead on. But we need your help, again, for Seattle to get its act together by engaging our federal delegation, engaging our state legislators. You know, you folks, many of you here belong to associations or businesses that have lobbyists. Those lobbyists could help us advocate for mental health treatment at the state level, for additional resources for individuals who are homeless at the federal level. I need your help so that Seattle can get its act together. Finally, I want to end on another ask about how we together can get our act together. One of the ways you reduce crime, and there's a study out of Chicago that has proven this, is through youth summer employment. Youth who are employed are 50% less likely to be victims of crime or to commit a crime. We will launch this year a mayor's initiative for a summer youth employment project. Many of you have already stepped up and will be making announcements about your commitment to that. But I would ask each of you to join us in helping us get the skills about how you write a resume, how you do a job interview, how you have to get up in the morning and look a certain way to actually be successful at a job, so we can actually change the lives of children in this city right now who are not succeeding in our own public school system. Change those lives so they get the jobs that you are all creating and make downtown an even better place than it is today. So I'd ask each of you to join me in that effort, to think about who you might employ, who you might take on this summer, and join us so that as a city, together, business, nonprofits, and the city government can get our act together and change the face of downtown Seattle. Thank you so much for this opportunity.